Hey everyone, so today's video is all about halls versus house or private accommodation. So I've actually filmed a video before all about halls in general and my experience and sort of advice, so I'll link that down below. And I've also filmed a video with the University of Exeter, which is where I go all about private accommodation and sort of the process of moving out of halls into whatever you move into. So in my case that was this house where I'm back now after summer, which is so nice to be back. But I'll link that down below as well because that might be helpful to some of you, even if you're not at Exeter. I think it will probably apply for most unis. I know that in my case I started looking for houses around this time in first year, which is crazy because you don't know anyone yet and it's just far too early. But in Exeter at least, I know that houses go so quickly, and I think we signed our contract in like November time for our second year house. So I thought it'd be good to get this video up now, just so you have some time to think about things, and maybe those videos I link below might be a bit of help for some of you. But yeah, I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of halls versus living in a house. So I know that most people will live in halls for first year and then they'll move into a house for the most part in second year and third year, but some people do stay in halls and some people go in a house from the beginning. So this is just sort of my experience and what I've liked from both different types of accommodation. I think the first and major benefit of halls is the fact that you have a cleaner. You definitely do not have one in a house and your house does get gross. So the cleaner at uni just made sure that like the deep clean happened in the kitchen and the bathrooms, so it was much more livable. It wasn't spotless all the time. People left their washing up on the side for weeks, and the cleaner definitely doesn't do that, but it just meant the sort of deep cleaning, the mopping, the hoovering, that sort of stuff was always done, which just kind of makes living there a lot nicer. We definitely don't do a deep clean in this house very often. Obviously it's going to vary for wherever you live and whoever you live with, but in my case we don't deep clean this house very much, so it does get a bit grim. So a cleaner is definitely a plus to halls. Another plus to halls is that you don't have to worry about bills and electricity and all that sort of thing. That's just all covered in like the sum that you pay. I live in a house where bills are also included, but a lot of the time they won't be, and you'll kind of have to work out how you're going to do that, which can be quite annoying, especially if you live with someone, say, that you think that they're using up an unfair amount of whatever and you're paying for it. So I reckon bills can be quite annoying. So living in halls where you just don't have to worry about that is ideal. Also with halls you'll be closer to campus. Maybe not all the time, but in my case I was a lot closer. I was a 5-minute walk from sort of the centre of campus, which was so nice, and now I have a 20-minute walk every morning, which isn't quite so nice, especially if you have an 8:30, so that is a major benefit. I think some people when they move into their house they end up closer to campus, so this won't always be the case, but it was for me, and yeah, I definitely miss living a 5-minute walk from campus. Also a benefit of living on campus is that there's usually some sort of campus security, or at least there was at Exeter, so they kind of can deal with any problems. If you forget your key, if you get locked out, they can come help you and let you in, which you obviously don't have in a house. And it's kind of quite nice and reassuring knowing that there's like people around to help, especially in first year when you don't know the area and everything like that. You can call campus security and they're always willing to help you out, which is really, really nice. Okay, so they are what I would say are the major pluses of living in halls. I personally love living in halls. If you've seen my halls video, you'll probably know that. It'll be different for everyone. You might hate it, but I loved it. I had a very positive experience, and if I could live there again, I would. Although I think it would be a very different experience living there as a second or third year. But as a fresher, I absolutely loved it. But now for some of the positives of living in a house, which I also love. I think the main one is probably the fact that you get to choose who you live with. So I think that's why my halls experience was so good, because I was put with really good people, but you could be put with people that you just don't really get on with, and then your experience probably won't be as nice. So with a house you can pick your friends, you know who you're going to live with, you can live with people that you actually get on with, and that's definitely probably like the biggest advantage of living in private accommodation. I also think that living in a house is obviously a lot more homey. It's like more family-like, one because you know who you're living with by that point and you've kind of got your little friends, but also because we have like a living room, we have like a nicer kitchen, more sort of social spaces where we can all hang out. You know, we've got a TV, we can all just watch The Chase in the living room, and I think stuff like that is really nice. One of my absolute favourite things to do is like order pizza or do a games night and watch films, and and you can't really do that as easy in halls. I know some halls will have like social spaces and living rooms. We had like a tiny green room, but that didn't really get used much after first term, I don't think. Whereas like when you're in a house, you've got a living room, it's all cozy, it's homey, it's sort of your space, and that's just much nicer than halls. You also get to choose your location with a house, so often with halls you don't get much choice, you're kind of put somewhere. With a house you get to pick where you want to be. So like I said, I loved living on campus and being so close to campus in halls, but now that I get to live in a house, I get to be closer to town, so you can kind of work out where you want to be. Some people will want to be near a campus, some people will want to be nearer the city or whatever, so that is a nice thing that you get to actually pick where you want to live. I think a little disadvantage maybe, I think this is quite personal to my experience of living in a house, is there being less showers than in halls, because in halls we had 4 showers and 3 toilets and we all had a sink in our room. So that was a major benefit of halls, is having a sink in my room. I loved that. This year we have 6 people / 7 living in our house, and we have 2 bathrooms with showers and toilets in. So it does mean that there will be some times when you need the loo and someone's in there, or you want to have a shower and someone's in there, or whatever. Obviously it's not a major disadvantage and we cope very well, but I definitely loved that about halls, was just like how many showers and toilets we had, and the fact that I had a sink in my room, because that was just a lifesaver. As well as like a house in general being more homey, I feel like my room in this house is a lot more homey than in halls. I don't feel like I have that much more freedom with putting stuff up on the walls and things like that, because it is rented, so you know you can't blue tack or whatever, but it just feels more homely. I know that my first year room was sort of prison-like. I'll link my room tour down below so you can see what it looked like, but it was kind of brick walls and yeah, it was sort of prison-like, and it wasn't very kind of warm and homely. But I definitely feel like my room in this house is a lot nicer, and it feels more like my space. I think especially because I've now been here a whole year and I'm living here again, so I've kind of had time to make it kind of feel like my room and my space a lot more than halls did. So yeah, that's sort of been some pros and cons of living both in a house and in halls. I've loved both. I think now that I've had a whole year in this house, I do love living here, but I also loved halls. I think it's sort of a very personal experience, and you might find that you hate halls and love living in a house, or vice versa. So I definitely think it's sort of something that everyone will have their own opinion on, but hopefully maybe if you're not enjoying halls so much, this video has made you more excited for living in a house. Or maybe if you don't know what you're going to do for where you're going to live in second year, this might have helped you out a bit if you wanted to stay in halls or move into a house. So yeah, if you have any kind of specific video requests that you'd like to see from me, let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!